health at workplace is your riches or your wealth. Your health at workplace is your wealth and your well-being. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the subject managing health and safety or health and safety management. All right, today being the 4th of August 2024, we're beginning a series in health and safety learning. And you can teach yourself health and safety if you keep watching these particular videos. And it's a vlog that you can find on YouTube, sometimes on Facebook or on WhatsApp and social media generally. So you would catch up with it. You can go through it serially. And so today is week one, and we are dealing with what? Elements of health and safety. The topic is elements of health and safety. What you're going to be observing, or the objectives of this particular topic, is got to do with what? Viewers will appreciate the presence of health and safety executives at workplace. Then you will get to know the essence of health and safety at workplace. Explanation or terminological explanations. Then the cost of injury at workplace, care of duty, and then workers' compensation, what we used to call worksmen compensation. All right, the name is Kwame Afaglo. Let's go straight into the discussions. All right, health and safety generally is got to do with what at workplace is generally known as what? Occupational health and safety. Occupational health and safety. Ghana, because we're dealing in Ghana, so I'll be mentioning some of the Ghana specific cases. Ghana has a law in occupational health and safety, and it is Act 651. That's not too long. That's about 2002, the year 2002. UK has got this health and safety at workplace act since 1974. All right. Ghana's own also dates back to sometime in 2000, but it's just a labor law that has got the occupational health and safety as an element of it. But by legislation, the UK's own is 1974 and is far older than Ghana's own. But that notwithstanding, we look at elements of health and safety. All right. Occupational health and safety actually has to do with workplace, ensuring that anyone or all people at workplace remain safe and are healthy to give off maximum productivity. That is the idea. So you eliminate ill health, you protect the workers from ill health, you eliminate injury, and give them the congenial environment. Even the external environment too, what does the company do with it? So we have small and medium, then we have large companies. Small, medium, and large companies. So we look at them across board as we're giving the examples and using the cases to understand it. Some of the cases in some micro to small organizations, some states or some countries don't need laws for them. You don't need them to have an occupational health and safety worker or health and safety executive for that matter. If it's small, maybe one health and safety manager can take care of the health and safety of that small workplace. If it's from medium onwards to corporate, medium to corporate, it means that all the managers in the corporate entity must get involved in health and safety of everyone. So it's a corporate responsibility. Corporate responsibility here under health and safety means that besides the organization achieving its core business, it has to keep an eye and ensure that its environment, internal environment and external environment, are safe working places for all involved. And those who are outside are also safe. For an instance, this is a big company, this sausage factory, big sausage factory that employs over 100 workers. So it's a corporate entity. They have a health and safety. But if the drains around the factory, just immediate precinct of the factory, the drains are choked and it comes with foul smell, those living around the place will complain. Their health is compromised. What about the asbestos that the companies, large corporations produce? Asbestos has got this problem in the UK, which has been banned, but in Ghana it's still being produced. So that itself is a health problem. Okay, it is a safety issue. It has a health implication. So then the environmental protection would have to crack down on any company producing asbestos in Ghana if the law says you should ban it, and it's in the UK, it's been banned. All right, so that's the corporate aspect of it. Health and safety executives are to ensure that everyone at the workplace doesn't experience ill health or doesn't get injured or passes away or dies out of what? Working at the workplace. They have to ensure they reduce injury and accidents to the barest minimum. Injuries, accident, and ill health to the barest minimum. They have to, if it's possible, they can eliminate it, fine. I mean, sometimes we know eliminating ill health is difficult, but then reducing it to the barest minimum is the idea. They have to demonstrate the importance of health and safety across board at all levels of the corporate entity or the organization, from small all the way to large. Everybody must be trained. The very first day of induction, everybody must be trained in health and safety. Everybody, before you get employed in the organization, whether small, medium, or large, you need to be given health and safety training. So you get familiarized with exactly what is expected of you to protect yourself, at least once the organization takes care of its duty of care, protecting everyone. All right, that's just one bit of it. Then, of course, once production targets, the planned targets, and then the achieved targets are reported, health and safety reports must be encompassed. It must be part of it as a composite document that is given, because the less people are harmed or injured or experience accident or go through an accident to near death or death cases, the higher the productivity, presumably, and that has been proven. Okay, that notwithstanding, what are the some of the essence of health and safety workers? They are to ensure that all employees have good well-being, enhance the reputation of the organization. If there are less injuries in the organization, health and safety executives will ensure that there are less injury occurring at the organization, less death occurring in the organization. It boosts the company's reputation. The corporate image is boosted. It becomes bigger and better. I mean, if you enter an organization where people are said to be dying every year, 2 or 3 people die each and every year out of machine breaks down, machine harming this person or another, or slip and fall and not, people don't want to work in those places because nobody wants to die. Everybody is rational. Nobody wants to die. Okay, so then the financial benefit of it is that the less injuries and harm that come to employees and death that comes to employees, the higher the productivity. So those are some of the essence of understanding health and safety at workplace. Let's take a break and then we'll come back, please.
It's Codex Beats. Check.
They say 9 time, he dey sleep. She be young woman, he no go fit. They say they.
Yeah, welcome back to Elements of Health and Safety, week 1, and today being the 4th of August 2024. We have looked at the essence of health and safety. We have looked at some understanding of health and safety at workplace. We are not talking of homes, we are talking of workplace. Okay, so let's look at some of the terminologies. Let's explain some terminologies before we move into further details, such that when we're using them, we become familiar with them in the environment. When we say health, and managing health and safety or health and safety management, we're talking of the protection of bodies and mind from illness at workplace, the processes, the procedure of delivering work. Health means that what? Workers must be protected from ill health whilst delivering their work through the processes and finishing of their tasks at the workplace. That is health. Then safety means what? Protection from physical injury. Safety simply means protection from physical injury. Welfare means the facilities. You see, the provision of the facilities that will maintain the health of the workers at the workplace. For an instance, let me explain health and then give example of health and then give example of safety and then give example of welfare. Okay, so when we say health, protection from bodily and mental harm or injury during the process of work. It presupposes that if a machine is making so much noise, you need to give some hearing protection. If particles can come in, you need to give some glasses. Those are issues that comes with good health to protect that individual. So you must have that in mind. What if you are working in the construction industry? You must have a steel toe boot or a boot. Steel toe, if items that can jam the feet can cut through the boots, then it has to be steel toe to protect the feet. All right. So those are issues that then helmet to protect the head. For an instance, those who ride motorbicycle as taxis in some countries like Ghana, we call it Okada. In Togo, they call it Jemizan. In Nigeria, they call it Okada. Once they have the helmet, they must have the helmet on. The motor riders who are using it for taxi, as the motorcycles for taxi, must have the helmet on. That's to protect them from head injury. Okay, so those are issues of head. What about safety? Safety is protection from physical injury or from injury generally. So if it's injury, then how does one get protected from injury at workplace? Example, if you fall from a ladder, first and foremost, you have to get the appropriate ladder. And you need a strap around you to go up the ladder, up a certain height. So those are issues that you must always have in mind. Okay, then if you look at welfare has to be look at what are the facilities that have been provided for the well-being of the workers, internally and external. That's one. Is it the water bodies at the workplace or the sanitation? Lightning, for an instance, if you're working in a dim light in the office, you destroy your eyesight. See, you destroy your eyesight. You have to look at that. Okay, for an instance, the well-being. You find out that some TV stations give prime time news for an hour, and the news anchors sit there for an hour delivering this news for an hour, which is not right. They need to get up for some time and then come back to see, because they are watching the display screen and reading from the display screen. Means that it will affect their sight. You see that after some few years, people who enter news, the TV business, TV broadcasting business, who have good sight without reading glasses, after some few years, they go with reading glasses. It means that there's a problem. TV stations like TV3 in Ghana has to really look at how it gives 1 hour news. The news anchors are struggling. They are struggling with their sight. So it's a welfare issue. You need to, instead of 1 hour news, make it 30 minutes. Then you give them maybe 2-3 minutes break in between the 30 minutes, and that's all. Then another time, another 30 minutes break, another 30 minutes news reading. Make the news relatively appreciable and not too long, because the anchors, you are putting their health and safety at risk. Okay, if that becomes the issue, then we go, once we mention risk, we have to understand what risk means. So we look at work-related illness. Work-related illness, you have noticed that I have mentioned some of them. The meaning is that the physical and mental disorders that occurs or that is caused or triggered by work activities. Let me just go over. Bodily and mental disorders that is caused or triggered by work activities. That is work-related ill health, or sometimes called occupational ill health. Okay, so work-related illness could be deafness, struggling to hear, especially when you're welding, when you work in a factory where there's so much welding and all sorts of things, you have to have an hearing aid. And for how long should you be working? Should you be working more than 8 hours? Even 8 hours, I'm not too sure, because if the sound is so loud, you make sure that you don't work for more than 7 hours a day. If you keep doing this, 12 hours working in loud sound, you become deaf. You wouldn't notice it until you test it. You speak loud. But after work, when you go out of work, you start screaming, and you wouldn't notice until somebody tells you that it looks like you're screaming. There's a problem with you. Then it means that you are starting having hearing impairments. Some places, you get into the retail shop and you have the retail assistant sitting at the till from morning till evening, if not night. It's not right. It is not right, because they are sitting at the till and facing the display screen, or standing and facing the display screen. You should not be seen standing continuously for 3 hours. Even 1 hour standing is not right. After 1 hour, you should be made to move for some 2-3 minutes. If you sit for 1 hour, you should not be made to sit for an hour continuously. If you sit for 1 hour continuously, you must take a 2 minutes break to stretch your limbs. The reason is that it affects your back. Work-related ill health, that's musculoskeletal. You look at it, watching the display screen, it affects your neck and your side and your neck, your eyes and your neck. That's also musculoskeletal disorders, musculoskeletal illnesses. Then your upper limbs. That's why if you pull the items and then and the lower limbs can be affected if you're standing at a job for long hours. For those sentries in the security services, those who work as sentries and they stand for hours, they shouldn't be made to stand there for an hour continuously. No, it's not right. The law must spell out itself that it should be made to stand maybe 30 minutes and you move on. Then you move to sit before you come back to stand or something, or you sit, move to another item, walk about before you come to sit. There must be a variety. It must move in sentry standing 30 minutes, sitting for another 30 minutes, patrolling or walking about for another 30 minutes before you come back to what? Stand. That way, you are much better because the health and safety of the individual, the work-related illness is taken care of. Then we have the environmental protection. That's why we all know that most organizations, before they carry out a project, there's an impact assessment. Environmental impact assessment means that what the workplace, what are the activities inside and especially outside, the toilet disposal, effluent, the waste disposal, flora and fauna, then air pollution are all considered in environmental protection. That you should make sure that your workplace, the immediate environment is well protected. The animals must not be killed about, the flora, the plants must not be destroyed. Let it be green and fresh for anyone who gets into the work environment. Do not go about burning bushes at workplaces, around the workplace, because the more you burn them, you destroy the flora environment and it has a negative impact on the workers generally. You don't make it always concrete jungle for workplaces. All right. Okay. Then the other bit is accidents. Let's go to accident and then we'll go to risk and hazards and risk. When it comes to accident, we're going to dwell a lot on accidents. Accident means that an unplanned event that leads to harm or injury or death at workplace or destruction of property, equipment, that's an accident. It's unplanned. All right, let's take that definition. Then let's go to near miss. Near means near miss. Near, it's near, you nearly missed the accident. It means that an unplanned event an event that could have resulted into an accident. If, take note, an event that could have resulted in an accident is a near miss. I almost slipped. Oh, I almost slipped. Then I got up. That's a near miss. Because you didn't fall. You almost slipped. You didn't fall. You didn't slip. I almost slipped. You didn't slip. You didn't fall. So that's a near miss. If that repeats itself by 10 times, it's likely someone will go through a minor injury with near miss. It will happen to someone after the 10. That's what record says. Okay. If that's near miss, then let's go to dangerous occurrence. Dangerous occurrence is a near miss that could have resulted to severe injury. Dangerous occurrence is a near miss that could have resulted into what? Severe injury. For instance, falling from a scaffold. A crane twisted itself and a crane just missed the gear. You almost ran into a truck at workplace. Once you know that there was designated places at the workplace that shows where you should move and where trucks or cranes should move, or where trucks should move. All right. So then those are issues. We'll get to the accident bit a lot more with examples. Let's take a break and back, please.
It's Codex Beats.
Check. They say 9 time, he dey sleep. She be young woman, he no go fit. They say.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Elements of Health and Safety, week 1. Okay, let's continue. We just finished dealing with an accident and near misses and dangerous occurrence, meaning that Accident means an unplanned event that could lead to minor or severe injury or death. It's an unplanned event. Okay. Then now let's go to we've had hazard. At the beginning we mentioned hazard, low hazard and high hazard. Okay. Hazard is a potential of a substance causing harm or injury to the person at workplace or to the employee at workplace. For an instance, chemicals are hazardous. Sometimes it says cigarette is hazardous. The hazard of cigarette is minor compared to hazard from sulfuric acid or hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid, if you take it, it will etch you. It will etch your inner part and everything from your mouth. One time I remember at workplace, a gentleman entered the vehicle and was thirsty, and then he just took a bottle found in the car, looking like water, and he drank it. No, it was just the distilled water for the battery, the vehicle battery. The gentleman ended up in hospital, and not long after he died because that chemical is hazardous. But having taken it in is the risk. You see, the chemical alone is a substance sitting on its own, is hazardous, could cause harm. But the gentleman took it in, that is the risk. If he had only minor injury, it would have been low risk. For instance, dipping your hand in bleach that is diluted, it may cause some minor lacerations on the skin, so it's low risk. But if you dip your hand in thick bleach, undiluted thick bleach, it will corrode the skin. That's severe risk. Okay, so that's the difference between hazard and then risk. All right. When it comes to accidents at workplace, there are a wide range of them. Wide range of accidents occurs at workplace. And accident at workplace, if not well checked, reduces productivity. Like I said earlier on, it's financially expensive to the employee and the employer. And then, of course, it causes reputational problem for the organization. So accidents, if we can at workplace, must avoid it completely. All right, let's look at it carefully. When it comes to accidents, we have various types of accidents that occurs. So I'm not going to be dealing with all of them, but I'm just going to mention some of them, and then we look at the record, the statistics. Unlike Ghana, the UK has well documented statistics of accidents that happens at workplace. So it's difficult to use Ghana as an example, but we can use UK for an instance. In UK, in the year 2009 to 2010, they had about 1.3 million people getting involved in accidents at workplace. Yeah. In Ghana, the major accidents that we record is vehicular accident, and that is just the vehicles that run into an accident. And we have a large number, but we are not counting the drivers. It's the drivers that they are working, drivers and drivers assistants, they are working, and they get affected by the accidents even the more at workplace, because that's what we're talking about, health and safety management at workplace, occupational health and safety. Okay, so with such accidents, is it only the one that leads to injury or death? No. One of the most common kind of accident that happens is the musculoskeletal one. The musculoskeletal is quite easy to notice, especially those who sit in front of display screens, those who sit for long, those who stand for long hours whilst working. It is not proper to keep your employee standing and working for an hour non-stop. Let them stand for maybe 30 minutes, work for 30 minutes, sit for 30 minutes, rotate the whole process. If it's a retail shop, no one person should just be sitting at the till from morning to evening. If it's the banks in Ghana in particular, the bank clerks, when they go to work, they sit in front of their desks, serving clients, and they do that from morning 8:30 that they open that branch till evening 4 or 4:30 that the branch closes before they mostly get up. Once in a while, they will have to get up, pretend to get up to go and bring cash or something just to release their limbs. It must be a properly documented process such that they sit for 30 minutes and then there's rotation, another batch comes. That way, everybody enjoys the work, but they cannot sit for that long hours. It's not right. It's not good. It's against health and safety because it compromises their musculoskeletal. The health condition is compromised. They experience neck pains because they always have they sit in front of the computer and then attend to clients at the same time. So once they are here and doing this and that, their sight is on the screen and then trying to identify the client who is come. So sight becomes problematic. Soon they have to be wearing glasses. Then of course they will have neck pains, neck cramps, upper limbs, backside, lower limbs challenge. So you would have to rotate the job properly for health and safety. So musculoskeletal. In the UK, they have got a very huge number, 572 workers for the year 2009-2010 reported for musculoskeletal disorders. I mean, it's not right. Then look at asthma. Ghana, for an instance, the road is dusty. The whole country, sometimes we call it a brown country, that's Ghana, because the roads are not, all the roads are not tarred, or most of the roads are not tarred. There's construction going on. You get to the Kaswa, from Kaswa to Winneba Road, there's road construction going on. You get to the Kumasi side, there's road construction going on. Road construction going all over the place. So it's dusty. And it's going to be about a year. They are going to be taking in this dust, those working in retail shops along the road, police stations and other big factories, the restaurants and co. They'll be taking in this dust daily till that construction comes to an end. That's not right. So what do they need to do? See, it could lead to asthma. Asthma has got about 7,000 reported cases in the UK alone. Asbestos is one area that I mentioned. There's a big court case in the UK about asbestos, and then this cancer causation effect. And they have sued the company and the UK government, and they got their compensation right. See, it could lead to asthma and other complicated illness. It could lead to dermatitis, death, lying on the skin, dermatitis, skin illness. It could lead to itches of the eyes. It could, various illness, infections could come in. Respiratory problems, respiratory is another. So we need to be mindful of all this and then look at these accidents carefully. Okay, so these are workplace illness, some of them. Look, fall from, but falling at workplace. By the time we finish this course, you would have noticed that there are so many ways that you would have to use. You follow the procedure and then you are not likely to fall at workplace. So that is highly reduced in the UK. Okay, so when accident happens at workplace, there are the cost that is involved. That's the insured and uninsured cost. Why is it insured? Because the employers get to know that, look, events happen so fast that if accident happens, it tends to be expensive for the organization. So they would have to insure it. You pay for investigation costs, compensation to the worker, compensation for loss of job, sick pay, and of course, if there's healthcare to be given, you have to compensate that person. So that's also insured. When it comes to that insurance, one of the best insurance in that area is the workers' compensation, formerly called workmen's compensation. So workers' compensation has to do with the organization by law having to insure all the workers with a private insurance firm or a state insurance firm, but preferably a private insurance firm or a state insurance firm, any of them. That is within the laws of the jurisdiction under which the organization is operating. And in that jurisdiction, some jurisdictions prevent or is liberal. They don't mind if small enterprises don't buy or don't enter into workers' compensation. By medium and large scale, they have to have workers' compensation. So in Ghana, all medium and large organizations must have workers' compensation. Workers' compensation, not workmen's, because we have men and women working, so it's workers' compensation. They must insure all the workers such that if there's an accident that happens, they are paid for the days that they are not working. And we're talking of 3 days and more, minimum of 3 days. Take note, if it's a day, it could have happened on Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday is no work time, so it doesn't affect the work. The Monday you are back to work, and you see that the company just lost something small. But if it's 3 days, it's appreciable. That look, 3 days, you pay sick leave for that person for 3 days. The organization would have to pay. So the private insurer or the insurance company that the company entered the workers' compensation with will pay that employee that has been injured for 3 days, the sick pay compensation for the ITCF, and if there's the need for him or her to go to hospital, it has to be paid. The hospital bill has to be paid. Then if there's disability involved, the insurance will have to pay for disability, whether it's temporary or permanent. Then if there's the need to shift the person's job to another activity out of that accident, and training will have to be done, retraining for that new position, the insurance takes care of that retraining of that individual who got involved in an accident, and so his remit has to be changed to something else, another activity. That insurance will pay for, and then insurance is going to pay for care. Sometimes they pay for care of those who get injured, and then they even pay if the accident happens and leads to death. They pay the beneficiaries of the deceased worker compensation. Take note, you do not on your way to work charge your company for injury cause or accident that happens, insurance or compensation for them. You don't charge them for compensation. You don't demand compensation when you are going to work or when you have closed from work and going home or going somewhere else. But it is only when you're on work, that is where the workers' compensation applies. All right. It protects the employer and the employee from what? Legal action, needed legal action. All right. Then it takes us to uninsured cases. The uninsured cases, their prosecution itself is expensive. I mean, let's face it, prosecution is expensive. The investigation cost is also another. You get to the police station and the police will have to do a report. They would have to charge you, or it has to be passed on to the employer. Some of these things like loss of business, goodwill goes for the company, production delayed because of the time that the person will have to be away. This is uninsured. You have to call an agency to send someone to replace that employed staff who has been involved in an accident. So those are issues. But the most important thing is that whilst all this is happening, employers have one duty of care. Duty of care. Okay, this is the last bit for today, the duty of care. The duty of care has got to do with the employers ensuring that the workplace is safe for everyone, ensuring that there's a health and safety executive there who can attend to the employees, then ensuring that people are trained, competent people are put at the workplace, not reckless people are put at workplace to cause harm to other decent people or competent people. Because everyone is working as a team at the workplace. So if you put people who are incompetent to join the competent ones, you give problems to the competent ones. Their health is at risk. Their safety is at risk. Be it benign or severe, it's at risk. So care of duty, those are some of the issues of care of duty. Then provide adequate levels of training in health and safety during induction, during the time before the person starts work. Day one, once the person is employed, the person must go through health and safety practice. If it's a food industry, there's a health and safety management for food practitioners as well as the general health and safety that everyone must know. You don't get into a food industry and put on earrings, keep your hair uncovered and all that stuff, your beard uncovered like mine, and then prepare food. No. You don't go without washing your hands and all that stuff. No. Keep piercing and all that, prepare food. No. Those are issues with the hygiene of health and the hygiene of food in the health and safety sector. So the laws are so wide, but if properly understood and practiced, it improves the life of workers at workplace, and their health is assured and their wealth is equally assured. The name is H. Kwame Afagbe. Thank you. If you have any questions, send to the email or the WhatsApp or any contact as seen on the screen. Thank you.